Hi, everybody. Welcome to my podcast this afternoon. I got my good friend, Steve Dischiavi, with me this afternoon. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Very good. This is the second time we actually do the podcast. And the first time, I told you I want to do more because there are so many things to talk about. And and lately, tell me more about the big move you made. You moved from New York, right, to Florida.
Yeah, I did, actually. I moved a while back, early last year, and it's been a different lifestyle altogether. I'm always posting pictures of my view from my patio, and I think people are getting sick and tired of it.
Oh, that's so. I thought it was from hotel rooms and stuff like that. That is from your patio. I want to visit you, brother.
Yeah, people think that's from my hotel, and I'm like, no, that's one person thought it was a boat actually because they thought I was on a cruise.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I see those pictures, on Facebook popping like every now and then, and that's amazing. So in what part of Florida, are you like towards Miami or more north?
No, I came someplace not as busy as Miami, but not as quiet as a small town. I'm in Fort Myers, which is a nice happy medium. It's got a little bit of everything over here. It's on the west coast of Florida, and it's just great. I mean, it's a lot more fun down here than I expected. I live, close to downtown. I'm right on the river, and I got my little spots, my hangouts. I run into a lot of fans down here as well. I run into fans almost every week. Unlike when I was living in New York, when I was just another ugly face in the city. But down here, it's pretty cool. You get to meet a lot more fans, and I enjoy that. I get to. Just the other day, I was in a place called the Shell Factory, coming back from getting my gun license, and I ran into two fans at the Shell Factory because I saw this place. I wanted to get some seashells and stuff and some lights for the house. I'm like, oh my God! You never know where you're going to rent the fan, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm seeing a picture right now that you posted also on Instagram. The Shell Factory in Fort Myers. That's so cool.
Oh, you did see it? Okay, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy. The fans always makes the show. Without the fans, there's no show. So I try to take as much time as I can and chat with them, take photos. Most of the time, they're too embarrassed to ask for to take a photo, so I do it for them. I say, "Come on, let's get your camera. Let's take a photo together."
That's awesome. That's amazing, brother, because that's what separates you from a lot of other people in the field. The fact that you're close to your fans. And we were in SalemCon about a month ago, and I was texting you, and I was with Scott Grunwald. That's what I was telling Scott, how cool it was to see you the year before, and you can make it this year, but it's impossible for you because you were first of all filming the Dead Files, right, during that period?
Yeah. I'm actually getting ready to leave again on Tuesday for pre-episode 1. We're going to be gone for 24 days, and this new season. I mean, the season that's airing right now. We finished filming in December. We're filming episodes now. Hopefully, that'll be airing in late fall or sometime next year. But it's a grueling filming schedule.
It is, because people think it's they see that 40-minute episode, and they think it's done like in a day or two, but it's a lot more than that because you have to fly to the location, do all the research and everything. So it's for one episode, it's like a week, 2 weeks sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the one episode takes 8 days to film, but my prep time before that, takes forever. I mean, I'm still doing. I pull a deed on locations beforehand, do a lot of chain of title searches before I even get to the location because I have to have that done. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes that never gets aired. You'll never see it on TV. There's just not enough time because my investigation takes a lot longer than with TV shows. But it's part of what I do, so I'm not complaining about it. It's a lot more involved, and sometimes people are under the assumption that when a show is airing, that we were just there.
Exactly.
And it's furthest from the truth. It's basically we have it takes I think a 4 to 5 month turnaround before a show is complete to be aired. With the editing process. I have nothing to do with the editing process, obviously. I mean, we film 80 hours of footage in an episode. So that 80 hours has to get pulled into 42 to 44 minutes of airtime for TV. And that's a job the editor's doing. That's not a job I would want to do, that's for sure. But, it's a tough job. I don't envy those guys.
It is very tough, and their show is going strong. After you see a lot of shows not lasting very long these days. A lot of shows are on the air for a season, sometimes only 6 episodes and that's it. And the fact that your show is still on the air after such a long time, and it's still going to be on the air for a long time, is testament to first of all the fact that it's totally different from everything else on television right now. The concept, like we talked before, but for people listening to a podcast for the first time, but I mean, the show is very different from any other paranormal, or it's a mix of everything. You got the paranormal side of the of a case, and then you got your detective's side of the case, right. And then the mix of the two together, and that's amazing. I just watched. I don't think it was the one from this week because I'm always a week late here in Canada. But I know there was a very cool one this week from Oregon, Illinois, right? And
I watched it this morning. I was a little upset by the episode because there was so much left out of the investigation. But for the same reason, all my footage that I'm interviewing, all my stuff, and it goes for Amy as well. I was a little disappointed that a lot of stuff didn't make it to air, but listen, there's nothing I can do about that. There's a lot of stuff that I wish the fans could have seen during that investigation. I mean, that was one of my favorite episodes we did last year. But the rest of the season is pretty solid as well, though. But the one I aired last night was pretty much, for me, my most interesting case to investigate, because it was a double homicide, and I got to, it was almost like working on a cold case. So for me, it was really good.
Wow, the place was called the Roadhouse in Oregon, Illinois, and exactly. So did you? I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't watched the show, but you said there are a lot of detective work. But did you found some evidence of what happened during the murders, or who did it?
No, but I think, it was more about my opinion and the other detective that I brought in that showed me about the case. It was our opinion of who did it. There was a lot of shoddy police work done, and, I don't like to disparage on, we're going back to 1948, so we're talking, something that it's easy to Monday morning quarterback, but, from the outside looking in at it, if I was really treated as a cold case, I have my pretty good ideas of who did it, but that never really came out in the episode about my opinion and why I thought it was 2 guys that did this murder, and the whole forensic side of what I saw, and basic police work. And I did explain it, but it never came out on the show, and it kind of upset me when I was watching it this morning of how. My detective work just really kind of got pushed to the side on it, but it is what it is. It's TV, and you can't put everything on TV. It just it takes, you got to be able to fit in what the fans need to see, what's important for the show. But it's just me being a little bit of a baby and a brat about my detective work not being shown. So I won't get into it too much. It's nobody's fault. I get a little. I get a little annoyed when I work hard and nobody gets a chance to see what goes involved with it, and it was the one time I get to be, it is, Dom, it's the one case I did that year that I was able to actually put my detective skills to work as a homicide detective, as opposed to more of a research detective that I've been doing lately, as far as the show goes. This was one of those episodes where I was able to actually sink my teeth into a cold case homicide and get into it. And a lot of it never made it to air, so it upset me a little bit.
Well, that could be a 2-parter, if...
Yeah, you know what it is? I guess it's a... I don't get involved in anything with that. That's a legal thing with the... I guess because it's 2 episodes instead of 1 episode, and, the whole TV thing. That's the one thing I'm not happy about is the whole business end of being on TV. It's not what it's cracked up to be. But what are you going to do?
it's so. I was having the same conversation with Joe Walsley from Ghost Adventures, and some of the sometimes some of the coolest stuff that they catch doesn't make it to the air because it doesn't necessarily fit, the storyline or.
Right, and that's understandable. The editors have a very tough job. Listen, I wouldn't want the job. I mean, if I had to sit there and try to figure out how to put 80 hours of filming footage into 42 to 44 minutes, I'd lose my mind. I couldn't do it. And I'd want to make every episode a 2-hour episode, but you can't. So, but the one thing about Travel Channel, which they do, which I kind of enjoy, is they do put deleted scenes of interviews and stuff on the website. So that's pretty cool. They'll do that so that people could see some of the deleted episodes. Well, not even deleted, but episodes that never made it to the show.
That's incredible. But you guys, I noticed that over the years, you're starting to travel even more, and a lot of places, Montego Bay, and a lot of places.
Yeah. That was a trip. We didn't know if we were going to do that episode or not, and that investigation was interesting because I don't think the clients were too happy with us because they were telling a falsehood about a story. They were telling a lie, basically, and. The people that were coming there, and it was a fabricated story that just never went unchecked. Nobody looked into it really. And when I did, they kind of got annoyed about the fact that, listen, you're telling a lie here. You're not telling the truth. They're trying to. They're telling the story that they were told, and of course nobody bothered to fact check anything, and they just go with it.
That's incredible because there's also a lot of more stuff coming up. You filmed already another season, right? Of episodes, worth of episodes?
Yeah, we're in the almost. We got 5 more episodes to film for the season. Hopefully that will air after the season's over, either late fall or early next year. I never like to count my chickens. It is television, so.
And by the time it's the same thing with a lot of shows. I know Ghost Hunters, they already have season 11 almost finished, and they haven't even started showing season 10. Well, there goes here. But
it's TV.
Exactly. The positive side of it is that that you still have a lot of things. It's going to be on the air for a long time. Because just by the time they finish,
I hope so, Tom. From your mouth to God's ears. I mean, I don't know about. Well, I hope for a long time because I still got a lot of alimony to pay.
There's a cool thing.
I mean, it's that's the one thing. I come from a civil service background, and it's very hard for me to not know when my next paycheck or if my check is coming. When I was a cop and worked for the city, even when I retired, I got a paycheck every other Thursday, and I was like, okay. As long as I don't mess up, I have job security as long as I don't mess up. With this work, all it takes is some TV producer to say, you know what, we don't like this show anymore, we're going to take this off the air, and I'm out of a job. So, and when you'll find out a day before they decide to do it. So, it's not such a great business for the normal people. It's a tough, people think it's glamorous, but it's kind of nerve-wracking not to know if you're going to be if you have a job at the end of the year.
Exactly, that's true. That's true. Because especially for people depending on this for a living. I was talking to Dustin Perry. This is only like a sideline for him. He's filming Ghost Hunters episode, but he has he has his own clinic. He's a doctor.
Right.
That's like my God. But I can only imagine you were a detective for a long time. In New York, and but for people in their early 20s or making a living doing television and depending on it, that must be nerve-wracking to the point of almost, driving them crazy, right?
You know what? I don't know how they do it. I don't know how people stay in this business. Because I talk to a lot of the crew members. I'm tight with them, and it's like, I've gone 4 or 5 months without a paycheck, or looking for work. I'm like, I couldn't even imagine that. Not knowing when my next paycheck is coming from. And then again, a lot of those people that are in this business don't have families. Because of that reason, a lot of them are single because imagine having to depend on TV to raise a family. you're in a lot of trouble.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, your kids are going to be eating porridge for a long time. So.
It is art, and that's, and the thing is, traveling, like I told you before, just last week we traveled for fun, to New York and Baltimore, me and Steve, and as we're driving, and then we arrived in New York, and it took 2 hours, to just make like 3 miles, and I'm like, how can people live here and do this every day? I'm sure this is not the part of New York you miss, right?
Yeah, I don't miss New York one bit. I mean, I miss my friends. I miss, family, obviously. But I don't miss New York. And we were just filming an episode up in Connecticut, and then we drove from Connecticut down to Maryland for another episode we filmed. And just to drive, it took me 2.5 hours to get over the George Washington Bridge, which was a 3 mile, I guess it was 3.5 miles from where I was.
Exactly.
3 miles to get over the bridge. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's nothing appealing about sitting in traffic. And when I worked in the city and you drive every day, people don't understand, New York City's wonderful. No, not if you got to work there and deal with that traffic on a daily basis and deal with the crowds and it's just, the weather sucks.
Yeah.
That's another reason I moved down here. I mean, the weather just completely sucks in New York. But, they say, but it's so hot in Florida. I said, yeah, all right, but I'm never going to shovel my car out again. It may be hot, so I go inside my air-conditioned place, and I'm okay, And you're up in Canada, so you know all too well about all this, with the snow and everything.
Oh, my goodness, yeah, because nowadays it's winter and summer. There's no spring and fall anymore,
Yeah.
1 week, you got you eating the house, and the next week, you have your air conditioning on. It doesn't make, there's no middle ground anymore. You go from winter to summer.
Well, it's funny you say that. People say, aren't you going to miss the seasons? I'm like, there was no more seasons. Everything went from winter to summer. And plus, with my traveling with the show, I get all the seasons I want. The first 2 episodes we did this season that we're filming now, we started in February. The first one was in Montana. The second one was in Kentucky. And talk about getting cold.
Wow.
So I got my fill of the winter. But then when I came home, I was like, that's
Because Montana could be pretty cold. It's a beautiful state, though. Beautiful state.
Yeah, I mean, I love Canada. I had a couple homicide cases that took me up to Toronto, actually. And I became very close with a couple of Toronto homicide guys up there. And every time I went up there, I just, I had a blast. What I like the Toronto area and Montreal as well. Apparently, I had family in Montreal because my grandfather came over with a brother that was was a stonemason. And I have cousins in Montreal somewhere. I just don't know where. But I mean, people don't realize how beautiful Canada and that whole part of the country is as far as like the northeastern part of the United States going into Canada. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. But when you travel a lot and you discover that every state, every city, the best example to me is Baltimore. I just spent 5 days in Baltimore with my friend Glenn, Steve, and Susan. And people see the riots and everything, but the city, is still standing. The riots are over. It's a very beautiful town. We even got to visit the gravestone of Edgar Allan Poe in downtown Baltimore. And I was like, there's so much more than what the media will want us to know, right?
Yeah, well, the media's got their own agenda, and we all know what that's about. So, when it comes to the media, I have no love for them at all. So,
totally agree. Because actually, every city has a charm.
Did you get down to they have their own seaport. Did you get down to the seaport where the stadiums are?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I was blown away because I've been through Baltimore before. I saw the stadium when it was built like 10 years ago, and I never saw the city. The whole. We went to Ellicott City, just a little bit outside of Baltimore, and we visited Fort Armistead. Actually Fort McHenry, where actually the battle took place. During the Revolutionary War, where the anthem was. Francis he wrote the Star Spangled Banner after the battle in the morning when he woke up, and he saw the flag was still standing. So you
get Yeah, when you travel, you get to see things that, that's one thing I got to say. Traveling does suck. I mean, it sucks a lot sitting in hotel beds that are uncomfortable, but you do a lot of traveling. I see that from your page. You're all over the place. So you get what I'm saying. Traveling is great to see things. Like that's one of the main reasons. Once I started traveling, I got to see what life would be like outside of New York City, and I was like, whoa, I can get used to this. And but I made the move. Once my divorce was finalized, I made the move and I came down here, and then I won't look back. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to stay in Florida. As a permanent place. Right now, I'm renting down here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but for now, at least next couple of years, I'll be down here. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, that's amazing. And as I was telling you before the podcast, I also had a chance to visit for the first time Staten Island in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And tell me more about the place, because I know it's a very, not a lot of people know about Staten Island. Everybody talks about Manhattan or Brooklyn, but it's...
Yeah, Staten Island is the forgotten borough. It's one of the 5 boroughs of New York. It's called the Borough of Parks. It's beautiful. Most people like myself, half of Brooklyn lived on Staten Island. You grow up and you're raised in Brooklyn, and you want to get married and you want to raise your kid. You don't want to raise them where you were raised, because Brooklyn just sucks for raising kids as far as school, the schools and stuff. So you wind up, where can I move? And the only place is either go out to Long Island or go to Staten Island. And most people from the part of Brooklyn I came from went to Staten Island, and believe me, it was like going from one extreme to another. Because I grew up in an apartment building, and when you go from that to actually having grass in front of your house, it's a big difference. It's pretty wild.
It's true, because you actually just crossed the Verrazano Bridge, and you're right in Brooklyn, like a few miles across the bridge. It's very close. Brooklyn and Staten Island is very, very close in terms of...
That's what it is. And the neighborhood I came from was literally, you could see Staten Island from it, because I grew up in Bensonhurst, and it's right near the water, and you can see Staten Island, obviously. And, there's actually a photo of me when my mother had me in a carriage down by the Bell Parkway, down by the water, and the Verrazano was actually being built at the time. I can't find that photo anywhere, but there's a picture. You don't see me, but my mother standing over there would be in the carriage when the Verrazano was being built. And wow. I think that was the last thing New York City ever built, as far as infrastructure went.
Yeah.
Back in the early 60s.
My goodness. And, you have a beautiful view, from Staten Island. There's Fort Wadsworth, very beautiful.
Yeah.
They're, rebuilding it. And it looks very creepy, very beautiful place. A lot of movies are shot there. Have you ever visited that fort?
Yeah, I've been on Fort Wadsworth. Unfortunately, I was there working on a double cop homicide. 2 detectives were murdered on Staten Island, and some reason, I forget what the reason was, but we wound up having to go on to Fort Wadsworth as part of the investigation. But I've been there. But it's amazing the views of Brooklyn and downtown Manhattan that you actually have from that location. And there's the northern parts of Staten Island where you're really kind of high up, and the area that you overlook is literally, it's Brooklyn and lower Manhattan. It's a view to die for. I mean, people don't realize the views that you can have from Staten Island. It's incredible.
Wow, it's just beautiful. Have you ever been to Snug Harbor?
Yeah, I know Snug Harbor. Yeah, it's on the they call that the North Shore of Staten Island.
Wow. Have you ever visited it or investigated there, or?
No, nothing like that. I just I used to pass it once in a while. I take the ferry home once in a while, and then park my car and take that way home. That was not the only thing I got a chance to see was Snug Harbor. But they have weddings and stuff there, and I know they do a lot of things. Matter of fact, the Ghost Hunters crew did a cemetery by a church that was literally right a mile from my house. Supposed to be a little boy, because it's that part of Staten Island is very has a lot of history going as far back as the Civil War.
Was it St. Andrew's Church?
Yeah, I think it is St. Andrew's Church, and there was a cemetery attached to the church, and that was literally right off of Snake Hill Road, which was 4 blocks from my house. Wow,
that's amazing. That's where we investigated last week. Me and Dave DeLilda, and Steve.
You kidding me? Really?
Yeah, we investigated the church, and Dave has been there for 2 years. Almost every night investigating and preparing a documentary on the place. So.
I can't believe that. I literally lived right up the hill from there because the golf course is right near there. And then as you go further up the hill, my house was further up a couple of blocks over on the right.
Wow, that's amazing. It's such a small world, right?
Yeah. Well, I just found out when I met Brian Kano from Home the Collector, who worked with John Zappis. Me and Brian were working. We were at an event at the Seven Sisters Inn in Ocala, Florida, this last January that just passed. So me and Brian started talking. We never met each other. Next thing you know, we find out we literally live 2 blocks from each other.
In Santa, yeah, because Brian is still there. Brian and Chris.
Yeah, Brian lived literally, no exaggeration, 2 blocks from my house. He knew my house. I had the third house off the corner with the 4 columns in front of it, and he knew my house because he knew blocks. You gotta be kidding me. I mean, what are the chances that we didn't even know each other, we're living that close to each other?
That's totally amazing. It just shows, that it's a small world, even if you're living in a city of 20 million people. It is. It's true, and you realize that when you travel, the first thing you're talking to somebody. Oh yeah, I know him from that person or whatever. But it just shows that when you're respectful with people and you treat people equally, you're never gonna get into trouble or whatever. And that's what I love about going to events. Like at least once or twice a year, is that you get to meet your friends. It's almost like a gathering of friends. I call this the para-family, but not just necessarily just the paranormal investigators, but you see the same thing at Comic Cons or all those conventions these days. It's almost like a point of, people being able to get close to people they see on television, and you realize that 90% of them are very good people, and 90% of them are very easy to approach and talk to.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm appearing with Amy at Scarefest this year in September. So I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, for me, you know me. I like to BS with everybody. I like to bullshit, have a good time, and then get to meet the fans. That's the big thing for me because it's just my way of saying thank you and appreciating them supporting the show. So that's one good thing about those conventions. You get to meet the fans, and then they realize I'm not such a hard ass like they portray me on TV.
Exactly. It's kind of like the first time I talked to Rob Demer. You used to be on Ghost Hunters International and now on to Australia.
I know Rob Demer. Yeah, me and Rob keep in touch with each other.
Oh, yeah, are you serious? So when you see Rob on TV, he looks like the big tough guy, right? Stern look, and he's the craziest guy you'll ever meet in your life and you'll ever talk to.
Yeah, he's a fun guy.
He truly is. And sometimes some people,
about weightlifting and stuff. Nothing to the paranormal.
Yeah, that guy is huge. My God. Yeah, exactly. And it just shows, that, you see one thing on television, but what you see on TV sometimes is, it's not a character, I mean, by any means, because it's not Gotham or Arrow or whatever. It's when you see a show like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Dead Files, or it's you guys doing your work and working, but you're also portrayed as the investigator on the show. So you're not out there, they don't show you, arriving at the airport and getting a picture with everybody and talking to people at the restaurant. But that's exactly what you said. People when they see you in real life, and I met you last year at Lake George, I was like, wow, this guy is so cool.
Yeah, people just I get that all the time from, especially on fans. I run into them. They're like, wow, I was almost afraid to approach them. Like, I hate the fact that. I don't hate the fact. I mean, it's TV. What are you going to do? I mean, I have a lot of fun during my interviews, but of course that stuff gets edited, and because it's a serious show, and you don't want to make light of what the clients are going through. But some of the stuff is pretty comical. It's just it's one of those things. It's just fans come up and they're like, I never knew you were such a nice guy to talk to. I'm like, yeah, I'm approachable. Just come say hello. And you'll find out I'm a different type of guy.
Yeah, because like I said, when I was in Salem, and I meant it when I posted the blog, and I said, you and Scott Grunwald are two, and Joe was there. easiest guy to talk to. Dustin Perry, people. Brian Kano, I would put him in the same category. Easy to approach, but even more than that, you'll approach people when you see people standing like a little bit further. You can see they're either nervous or they're not sure. You're gonna go to them and say, "Hey, what's up?" And it means a lot for a lot of people, because 90% of people, are, I wouldn't say intimidated, but, they see what they see on television, and then they're standing in front of you for the first time, and they're, oh my God, It's always that. For me, when I met wrestlers the first time when I started traveling when I was younger, and then I was driving them around in Montreal, from the airport to the gym, but to the, back then, the Montreal Forum. But the first time is always a little bit more intimidating when you see people for the first time.
Yeah. Right. Well,
but
it's a shame too, because I'll get a Facebook message or a Twitter message from a fan who will be like, I just saw you and I was afraid to approach you, and I'm like, damn it, I wish people would just even if they didn't think it was me. I mean, how can I hurt you? Are you that guy from the Dead Files? And it's not. The guy says no. It's no big deal, but to not ask and then feel bad that you didn't get a chance to, talk and have a photo taken, I feel bad for them. So I yell at them on Twitter and Facebook. I'm like, if you see me again, just come up to me, damn it, just say hello.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a cool picture, that you posted last week, Happy Memorial, during the Memorial Day weekend with your friends. You said, love my retired friends.
Yeah, I got all my degenerate friends down here literally that live about 10, 15 minutes from me, so we all get together. As soon as I get home, we all get together. We, go out for drinks, some lunch, dinner, something, but we're always doing something together, and which is fun. It's nice. When I moved down here not knowing, didn't know that I even had friends here. I just kind of, after my bad divorce, I just wanted to get the hell out as far south of New York as I could, and without going to Cuba, and I was like, okay, I decided I wanted to go on the West Coast of Florida, but I just thought I'd be very alone down here. Turns out I have close friends that I worked with that are here, which is amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible. There must be something about Fort Myers, because I had a podcast with Road Dog Jesse James, a former WWE wrestler, a few months ago, and he was telling me that a lot of wrestlers live in Fort Myers, and especially after they retire, they love moving there. It's quiet, but also you're close to everything, so it's a mix of both. You don't want to be in the middle of nowhere also, where you have to drive 2 hours just to get to the grocery store, right?
Right.
But you also don't want to be stuck in traffic at 8 a.m., 5 a.m., or 3 p.m.,
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible the amount of stuff. The stuff I don't miss of New York, and the stuff I do miss. The good thing about down here where I'm at is there's a lot of transplanted people from the Northeast and even a lot from the Midwest that get it. And there's a lot of stores and restaurants down here that understand, you can't survive down here with all the snowbirds, because you have to have restaurants. So there's plenty of restaurants to eat at, plenty of good places to eat, shopping everywhere. So, it's just like, you just got to deal with the hot weather in the summer. And that's the only thing. Like right now, it gets hot, but now it's humid.
Exactly. Probably until the end of August is that, but you'll be on the road filming most of the time. So
yeah, well, we'll be off end of July. We'll be off. Well, I don't want to count my chickens while we hatch. We haven't been picked up again for the next season yet, so I don't want to say anything. But we should be off August and September, which will be nice. I'll be down here. None of the snowbirds will be here, so it won't be crowded. So that's it. I'll be trying to do. I haven't had a vacation in 2 years, so I'm thinking about taking a vacation or maybe a staycation and just not do anything.
Which is a good thing, and because after a while, you get on the almost like a robot-like kind of energy that just keeps on running and running. But after a while, you need to rest a little bit and to get some energy back, because you're on the road a lot, and when you're not on the road filming, you're either at conventions and like you said, Comic Cons and stuff like that. So a very busy guy, for a guy that retired. I don't remember from the last podcast, brother.
Yeah, I'm working harder now than I did when I was working.
Exactly. You're supposed to be retired, right?
Yeah.
It almost makes me laugh, it's a retired detective, retired. Never worked so hard,
Yeah, exactly. But it's I shouldn't complain. I mean, I'm not going to complain because I'm working. There's a lot of guys out there that are out of work, so I'll just be grateful. Like I said, though, it's just the TV industry scares the hell out of me. I mean, it's just I'm an impatient man. If I don't hear I'm going to be working, after our break, I'm going to be starting to look for work. So I just.
Exactly true, and it's also a choice. Yeah, because that's the only thing I wanted to touch about on the first podcast that we talked about. But for people maybe didn't listen to the first podcast we did, is how it came together. You and your second career, as on television right now. How did it happen? How did you go from a retired cop to be on the show The Dead Files?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I mean, ABC News did a documentary called NYPD 24/7. Basically, I was being filmed for about 16 months, and they aired the episode. I was the featured detective. They did the homicide squad. They did a whole bunch of the units, and producers in Hollywood saw it and asked me if I was interested in doing television. That's basically how it happened. I wasn't a guy that retired and wanted to become an actor or get into the TV business. I had no intentions at all. I mean, I was working for Merrill Lynch at the time when I got approached to do the Death Files, and I was skeptical about even doing it. I actually turned it down at first. I'm not doing a paranormal show, but, and then I had to quit work full time if I wanted to, continue in the TV thing, with the Death Files, and for me that was a real tough pill to swallow because again, I don't trust Hollywood. I don't trust the whole, you never know where your paycheck's going to come in there. It takes one person to get a bug up their ass and they're like, well, we don't want this show on our channel anymore, or we're going a different route and, we're not going to do paranormal shows anymore. Next thing you know, you're out of a job. What do you do? If you're a light-hearted person, this is not the business you want to be in. I mean, I have attorneys that handle all the bargaining stuff, but everything has nothing to do with, they can't stop the TV executive from making a decision to say, "Oh yeah, we don't like this show no more. We're gonna take the." I mean, thank God for the ratings. That's what keeps us on, and thank God for the fans. If it wasn't for the fans being so supportive and watching week after week, there's no show. So without the fans, there's no show, and that's the main reason I'm so approachable and so happy to meet with fans because of that. And I appreciate their support. But whatever I can do to make them feel happy, if they can spend 5 minutes with me and I can give them a few laughs and take a photo, then it's worth everything.
And the fact that people are so want to meet you and everything is that they know that you're helping people out, because that's the main thing about the Death Files. It's just not going somewhere, trying to provoke activity or whatever. No, you're out there investigating and helping people. And this is not just cool locations like abandoned prisons or stuff like that. No, it's private homes. It's private residences where people still live and are still having trouble dealing with stuff that happens. So that's what makes it so unique.
Right, I think so. I mean, and I appreciate that, Don, because it's, there's no other show like it on TV. I've said that before. And if there does come a show that's like it, they're just ripping us off. So it's just another way of them. It's an original show. Nobody else has come up with this. So, in my opinion, our credibility is a big thing. There's no BS with our show. There's none of this nonsense. I mean, our show's our show. I mean, we legitimately don't talk to each other. Amy doesn't know where the hell she's going. I mean, it's not fabricated in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying any other show out there is, but what I am saying is that I know for a fact our show is. I can say that with clear conscience, and I'm very proud of the fact that we're able to bring a show together that, shows both sides, where I can bring credibility to paranormal investigations and not think everybody's crazy. I mean, do I believe everybody 100%? Of course not. But it's, for me to swallow a pill of getting into the paranormal investigating end of it, and I really don't do a paranormal investigation, as you know. It's more about me telling a story of a past, and then having Amy do her thing, and then just the combination brings it all together, which without, from the outside looking in, you have to give credibility, because there's no way of shape or form that she has any of this information. And for her to come up with it after 94 episodes that we just finished filming last week, I'm still blown away by her abilities every week. It's just, it's hard not to. It's almost impossible not to be blown away. I mean, every week it's like, she did it again.
Exactly, because you're coming up with hard facts and evidence, and most of the time, she it fits with what she feels and what she sends. So there's a great connection there, and the chemistry between you two is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we do a good. And it's funny because we don't talk to each other until it's time for us to sit down, and we really don't. She stays in a different hotel. It's just the way our operation works. It's just that's how it's done. Which is a good thing because it makes for, I think, a better show. Obviously.
Exactly. It makes it very different from everything else you see on television, and that's the reason why you filmed the 94th episode, and you're closing in on the 100th episode, which is pretty cool when you think about it.
It's funny. We'll be finishing this season. The season that we're filming now, that's not on air. I want to make that clear. The stuff that's on air now is not what we're filming currently. The stuff that's on air now, we already filmed. We're going to end the season on our 99th episode, which is pretty incredible. Yeah.
That's incredible. And then the 100th episode, to open the other season, which will be incredible. And I just hope, that you can do maybe 100 more ones. How cool would it be?
Because I love what I do. I mean, as much as I complain about the traveling and everything else, listen, when I sit at a reveal table and I look at a girl, across the table, and I see a family feeling better about a relief that they can have from what the hell they're going through, that makes my day. And to me, that's the whole thing.
Exactly, because that's
worth the day. That's worth the miserable nights in a hotel room and the traveling. It's just horrible, but it is what it is.
And Steve, I want to thank you so much again for your time, brother. It's almost only a minute left, and I wanted to thank you again for being such a nice person and very approachable. And I'm sure people who never had a chance to listen to you talking, on a podcast or whatever, they'll be like, "Oh my God, this guy is so cool,"
Well, I am. I'm a decent guy. I just like I said, if it wasn't for the fans, I know I wouldn't be employed, and I appreciate them. And I'll always take a minute, even if I don't have a minute. I will always take a minute to say hello to a fan and take time to take a photo with them. So
it's always cool to.
Why people would want a photo with me, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Oh my God, no!
if they want one, I'm more than happy to help out with that. So, have them feel more than happy for them to come and spend a minute with me if they ever see me.
All right, Steve. So thank you so much again for your time, brother, and looking forward for the next podcast. Anytime.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, Tom. It's good talking to you, and I wish you all the best with your travels.
Thank you very much, Steve. Same for you. Be careful on the road.
I'm gonna try. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back next week with another one. And Steve Dischiavi, coolest guy ever, right? Bye, everybody.